Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Link, a collaboration between Pyro Media and APLA Health, as well as funding by CDC. It's been a week. It has been
It has.
We're here. We're back. As you can see, once again, there's only three of us, but that's okay. Rogelio's got other things important going on, but we love Rogelio. Rogelio will be back with us next week.
We only film some at a time due to COVID-19 and quarantine.
Boy, I was just gonna say about Rogelio. I'm looking at our rolling intro and then the pictures that we just took for this new season. I said, why is Rogelio giving me such glow up season 1 to season 2 glow up? I love it. I'm like, give me everything.
She got that link money. That link money came through.
Look, honey, that check, that coin.
That check, honey. The check.
That stimmy, honey, the stimmy.
Right? So today we have a lot going on today. There's so much to talk about, so many things to do. But today we're actually going to talk about getting relinked into care or navigating care. But before we do, we got to talk about what's happening in this world. If you don't know, my name is Kai. I am program coordinator to the Healthy Him program. So hey, what's up? Tell us who you are.
At this point, you all know that I'm your favorite Philly bird from the 215. Kai, your linkage to care, guru, spectacular god.
And I am your pretty petty goddess. I'm your boyfriend. You know my tagline is: if you can't be pretty, be petty, and if you can't be petty, find your friend who can.
Wait,
I love that.
You can just call me the Prince of Boundaries or something. I don't know. Next week I'll come with something.
I don't like that. We don't do it.
Sorry.
You can be the curl connoisseur. How about that?
Right.
Because your curls are giving me you're giving me life.
Oh, we
giving
can
me
call
everything.
him Hair Kai. Let's do that.
Well, we'll see. We'll chop this for next week. But let's get into what we're talking about today. What's popping?
Yes.
So much.
Let's go into it. It's a lot. Let's go into it.
Baby. So, I mean, the biggest what's popping thing on everyone's timeline is what the hell happened at the camp.
Okay. Yes. Can you give us some context for people that don't watch the news? Can you give us some context for people that don't watch the news about the ghetto white people?
If you're not watching the news, if you've not been on your timeline, the severe caucasity of domestic terrorism hit the Capitol building in D.C. when hundreds, if not thousands of people decided to storm the Capitol. And honey, I'm not talking a video game or an action film. They went in there, broke out windows, stomped out security guards. Some of the protesters got shot and unfortunately got killed. But it was just absolute mayhem, and we saw absolutely no type of anything. We didn't see any type of enforcement of any law. We didn't see the army on the stairs the way that we did with BLM this past summer. I would have to say, as a person of color watching it, I mean, there was definitely the reality of this is scary. I am living in a historical moment. This whole year, this whole 4 years, this whole administration of Trumpness has been history in the making. We are living through history. But to see this, to see the epitome of privilege parade up and downstairs and rooms. And if I had an office in the Capitol building, there would be no way that I would be stepping foot back in there until my entire office and that entire building had been scrubbed top to bottom for any type of bomb. I'm not sitting in my chair rolling around and click and boom, I go. But it was a lot. It was a lot to watch.
They were mentioning the fact that protesters, we can't call them protesters, rioters were there creating pipe bombs. There were Navy veterans, Army veterans there assisting with the idea that, I don't know, were they trying to blow up the Capitol? What was the end goal? Because your leader was not there. If you had been under a rock, Trump had suggested to his following, the Legion, I call them the Legion of Idiots. He suggested to the Legion of Idiots that they should go to the Capitol and storm it. He said, we are going to do X, Y, and Z. Trump and his peacoat and his family that barely talk were nowhere to be found. It was just you ding dongs up at the Capitol creating I was about to curse, creating a reincarnation, a re-scenario of the Hunger Games. I felt like the dong was going to go off, and then all of us were supposed to go at war. Like, I didn't know what was going on. This was a terror attack by white terrorists. That's what
Period. And the fact that they had the audacity, the effrontery to call themselves patriots is
Oh,
such a slap in the face to people that have served this country, that are serving this country, and especially those who are in these groups, in these minorities groups, these disenfranchised groups, that Trump has really has really attacked and tried to obliterate. Like it was just awful and disgusting and
Patriots.
horrible.
Who are they patriots for? Thanos?
I mean, when you look at it, like even if you think how crazy it was, let's give this all context. The last time anyone set foot into our capital to like destroy it was in 1812, and that was the English when we were against them in war. That was the last time. And then these people come in, bring a flag of the Confederacy, which by the way only lasted 4 years, so kind of like I don't know what you're fighting for because that thing doesn't exist anymore. Like,
Right.
mind blowing that this happened because ultimately, and conspiracy theorists, whatever you want to say, I think it is just so odd that on this
Come on, odd.
and at Washington D.C. in the Capitol was so light. I mean, if you've ever been to Washington D.C. on a normal day, it is not an easy task to just kind of walk up to the Capitol.
It's not
in session. It's not. And people who live in DC will back that up. Like, you can't even get up close to the Capitol like that. We've seen videos of police officers literally just kind of waving them by. And it is, I mean, watching it, I was like, this is.
You trying to go inside? Are you trying to go inside? Let me open the door for you. Let me tell you. First and foremost, trespassing on the Capitol and inciting violence is illegal. First and foremost, if Real Housewives of DC can get canceled because they snuck into the White House, white people need to be canceled for sneaking into the Capitol. This was some hot ghetto mess. And I'll say it again. Y'all were ghetto for that. That was really a lot. It was on my TV screen the entire day. CNN did a great job reporting on it because they acknowledged what it was. It was a domestic terror attack. Mm-hmm. And you had people dressed up like wolves and Wolverine and Sabretooth characters. I thought I was watching a Comic-Con riot. I didn't know this was at the Capitol. I said, oh, did they meet up for video games? No. This was real. This was real. They scaled those walls. Did you see the people? I have never climbed a wall. I'm too lazy for that. Did you see the people? There are steps.
That's what I did.
There are steps to get you where you need to go. You are scaling a wall like Spider-Man. And I'm a little concerned about that.
Honey, when I got through the memes and the videos on Instagram where they had played the Mario Luigi music from the Super Mario Brothers, look, I can't speak for the country. I can speak for most of the Black people that I know here in LA. We were all sitting looking at this, going like just like this.
Look,
yes, my Coco.
So this is what I will say. This was honestly the weirdest. This has been the weirdest week, I think. One of the weirdest week in American history. It's just a really strange moment. But when I say Black Twitter took this and made some of the funniest memes I have ever seen, I just we love to see it. We love to see it. But I don't want to spend all of our time on what's popping for this because there's so many things that happened.
Yes, you are absolutely correct.
The orange sitting as president right now is also probably going to get impeached, which I think is just wonderful.
For the second time.
And you know what? Everyone's like, it's only a week. Just let him finish out. No. Mm-hmm. I want him to be embarrassed. So when we look back, we can say he had a week left, and we said, no, we can't do this anymore. Get him out.
Absolutely.
I mean, long time ago. We all know this. The senators and everyone who's saying that we shouldn't do this obviously should also be investigated for domestic terrorism as well and inciting violence because that should happen. But I want to talk about some pop culture things. I want to talk about Black excellence. I want to talk about Black woman excellence. Miss Jasmine Sullivan and her hotels. Look, if you have not listened to this EP, you have missed one of the greatest R&B albums probably to come out this year, and the year hasn't even started.
Absolutely.
From top to bottom.
This was a highlight. Let's talk about the fact that she's acknowledging that sex work is an important work and a respected work, and she did not shun or disrespect sex work and sex workers. She said that everybody has a little hotels in them, and this is what
And what I
happens
love,
when you have. Yes, go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
what I love about that is not only just the sex work, but the Jasmine Sullivan really talks about the autonomy and the agency and the equity
Mm-hmm.
that women have over their body and what they
Mm-hmm.
deserve in equitable. I swear, I promise you, I can speak equitable
It's okay.
situation when it comes to romantic relationships. And I will
Yes.
say this publicly because for those of you who watched last season of The Link, my I had things to say about the whisper singers such as Summer Walker and Ari Lennox, and I did tell y'all that I don't necessarily prefer them, but I want to give public props to Miss Ari Lennox because this
Ooh.
song that she had with Jasmine Sullivan
It
called
on
"On It,"
it.
You said it
it
on the
gave
mic.
me such a newfound respect for Miss Ari, honey. I did
Yes.
not know that that
Yes.
was in you, and now that I know what's
Yes.
in you, I want it all the time.
Oh, see, I knew that
Yes.
was Ari all along. But
We knew. Kai and
we
I knew. We
knew.
listened to her projects prior to she got popped at, all of that. FaceTime, all of
That's
that. So
cute. Knowing it and
yes,
executing it were two different
she
things. She executed it in this
she
song.
is a brilliant. I the best comment that I read was when someone had heard on it for the first time. Jasmine, if you're just tuning in, Jasmine Sullivan featuring Ari Lennox. When you get to it, you'll already be in your feelings. But by the time you get there, baby, when I was on Black Twitter and someone had said it is like listening to Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight talk about sex, I rolled. I said, okay.
I mean,
I said, all right. This was a
wow,
combination that I didn't know that I needed. I
right.
needed this combination. Yes.
Well,
When I saw
all of the collabs that
Yeah.
she had on this album, like even the song towards the end of the
Amazing.
record with her, like
her,
I
Yeah.
was blown away.
Amazing. Amazing.
one thing I also want to bring out to Jasmine is so one of my favorite songs is Lost One. That was her first one, her first single to come out for the EP. The story
Yep.
before Lost One, Rashida's Tale, I think is such a really
Contact.
important
Mm-hmm.
moment because it is a lesbian talking about her experience. And obviously I don't
Mm-hmm.
know who this woman was or what she looked like, but I'm assuming, you never should do that, but I'm assuming this is a black lesbian talking about her
It
tale.
is.
And
It is.
that's
She is.
really
She is.
that's a
She
big thing.
posted the video on her Instagram of the actual interlude. Yeah.
And so it's like one of those things we don't see that often. And I thought that was such a kind of a big moment, especially in the black community. We see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of black gay men and everyone kind of panders to them here and there, but we don't always see it with
Yeah.
the lesbians. Like we just don't. It's not kind of really a market that people kind of go to. And I think
Yeah.
we're always it's always weird in that way. But when that came on, I was like, this is the first time I've ever heard someone not use a woman and a woman together to kind of make money off
Mm-hmm.
over sexualized. This was a real human being, and I thought
It
this is
was. Yeah.
a great step. So, Jasmine, thank you for hotels. I kid you not, I listen every single day,
Donna's
from.
tale is
Absolutely.
the one that gets me, honey, because Donna's
We love
tale when
you.
she said, "Look, even if you marry, you are getting in
Okay.
with your husband because you want something." Now that is not everybody's experience, honey, but the hoodness that Donna came with, the real raw reality of her experience. Oh, thank you, Donna. Wherever you are, I love you.
And I
Yes.
think was really mad at for a second when people were like, "Oh, I'm not gonna pay my man's rent or whatever." I mean, right after Donna's tale, she said, "If you want this, cash at me," and I was like, "Just pay his rent with his own money. He's sending it to you anyway." So like,
Might as well. Like Jasmine put all of us up on game. I think that Hotels is a brilliant piece of work. It's not even the album. This is
But
just
she's
a
been
project.
doing that. Let's not forget her song "Mascara," honey. If you
A
go through those
classic.
lyrics,
I
go through
never
those
leave the house
lyrics.
without my makeup on.
look,
Absolutely. A
I think
classic. Give Miss
we
Jasmine her flowers.
right. So people better.
While
Now,
she's here,
while
So
she's here.
another thing I've been seeing, and this could be, I fall into Twitter like gossip a lot with things that might happen, might not happen. But Miss
Okay.
Dionne Warwick was talking on social media about like, ooh, if she was going to do a series about her life, who would you cast? And she said Tiana Taylor. And
I'm here.
I'm here for it. And so
I'm
it's
here
been
because she looks like her.
right. She looks just like her.
Like
And so
Yeah.
Miss Warwick has already reached out to Tiana. Tiana's on board. Tiana said she'll do it, and then Netflix picked it up.
Tiana already owes me. Her and Sierra need to recreate the Scream video by Michael and Janet. That's
But
what you owe me first, and then you can go help Miss Warwick. Okay, I need that video first. Don't get too busy.
whatever she can do,
Look,
she's
they
gonna
will.
retire
I
from
mean,
music and give
when
this to
Mrs.
me.
Warwick, and I will say this as the oldest one on the cast. I will say there are a lot of people in the younger generation who don't, and even somewhere in my generation, that really don't understand who Dionne Warwick was in her time and in her prime. Like a lot of people hear her now or hear music, from her in the later years of her life. But when I tell you Miss Dionne, she was like the vocalist of the time. She
Yeah,
is legendary. And
yeah.
so I would totally be here for a story about her life.
And I love that she's on Twitter. She really just doesn't care. Like it's like she's real. I saw her comment on somebody because someone had said, Miss Dionne, you're too old to be on Twitter." She said your profile picture looks old. Like she claps back very quickly, and
Well,
I enjoy
140 characters is her limit because she sure didn't know the words to this Christmas. So 140
that.
characters is where she needs to stay.
Look, ain't
That's
nothing
fair.
wrong. Ain't
Love you,
nothing wrong.
Dion. I do.
Can I put something on our hot topics table? Do you all mind? Okay, so what I've been seeing as of late, which is very, very interesting, is, and we're going back to Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. Tory Lanez and the baby, did a song together, and people are trying to incite a beef between Megan Thee Stallion and the baby because they have two hits together, Cash Ish, and then one other song that she has on her new album that I have yet to hear. So what do y'all think about that? Is it one of those things where it's like the context of what happened between the two of us? Well, you kind of don't, but you kind of do. Should
Yeah.
he have turned down that bag, or should he had went about his business, did his work, and then just not talked about the Megan Thee Stallion situation with Tory? What do y'all think?
I think that the baby needs to worry about his court case over that firearm that he just got caught with. That's what I think that he needs to worry about at the end of the day. And I think that, excuse my language, boss, but I'm going to curse. I think that it is bitch made for any
Mhm.
man to continue a beef with a woman. Like at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
the Tory Lanez and Meg The Stallion publicity part of it, it's
Yeah.
over and it's done with. It's dead. Let's put that to rest. And so if they're
Hmm.
still trying to push it and push it and put like it's tired. That would be no different
Absolutely.
than August Alsina coming up today, still addressing the whole entanglement. Like it was a moment in time. We had our
It
fun with it.
happened. Yeah.
You guys lived it. I don't take away from that. But the moment is over. Like let it go. The baby stop carrying
Yeah.
around our firearms. You should name.
So for me, it is not for myself, the fans, anyone to decide on who can like whatever. If he reached out to Megan and asked, and Megan doesn't care, if Megan hasn't said anything, that's fine. Because remember, ultimately, it is a situation between these two people. And I know with fans, we like to protect the people we like. But like honestly, if Megan hasn't called him out or anything like that,
Oh,
then
she
why?
did. She did. She did. It was very subliminally. She had commented under the picture of the baby in Tory Lanez. I should have given this portion of it too. She commented under the picture of Tory Lanez and the baby, and she said the song isn't even cleared. Good luck. Meaning, like, you guys have a song, the sample is not cleared, so this probably won't even see the light of day. But the fact that she approached it because the fans were saying, "Do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see this?" It creates. I think that it creates a weird moment for artists. I do agree with Daniel. You cannot beef with a female artist, especially after you shot her in the foot. That's bitch made. That's not cute. Um, I do understand challenging cancel culture, but if you are dead smack in the wrong, taunting and like trolling Megan, like he like literally copied some of her lyrics and put them on his Twitter like a week ago, and it's like now you're doing too much. Now it kind of takes it. I don't want the seriousness of the situation to be taken away because you're trolling. That's
Yeah,
not cute.
and I think
Because
that
now I'm gonna assume that come get your
Yeah,
feelings. It's for Tori.
right.
right.
Listen,
But,
okay.
but I mean, ultimately,
See?
you as weird as it is, when you look back on this, people are just gonna be like, "Ooh, who is Tori? Like, why is he sitting like that?" It's a weird
Yeah,
like if just stop.
Because that
Like,
was my
yeah.
question. Who are you, sir? I know Meg, but when people started talking about this
Mhm.
4'11", like whatever. I was like, who?
He is
Who
short.
is he?
Shout out to all the 4'11" people watching the show.
Shout out to my short kings.
We see you, fun size. We see you. Looking like a little
Well,
Snickers.
when they brought up one of the members of the Lollipop Twins, I was like, or the Lollipop Guild, I was like, sir, who are you? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is not a good look for him. But I just wanted to bring that up because
Yeah.
it was something I saw on my timeline and I was like, oh, this is still going on.
And then just for everyone who's watching, if you ever have any topics that you want to bring on to What's Poppin', let us know because we have a lot to talk about, and sometimes we don't get to talk
We
about
sure
it.
do.
So if you
Yeah,
have that you want to bring up, let us know.
absolutely.
But with that, we're going to end this part of What's Poppin'. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, this is your friend Roger Sediles from the Prevention Department at APLA Health, and I'm here today to tell you about all the programs under the substance abuse programs. They include the PariWise program, Project Impacto, and Project Impact. Our programs are designed to work with different individuals from our community, including but not limited to men who have sex with men who use crystal methamphetamine, also youth 18 to 29 who might be struggling with substance use or abuse, all open for HIV negative and HIV positive individuals. Our program's main goals are to reduce the number of HIV transmission and acquisition by keeping our program participants informed regardless of their intention to stop or not using drugs, making sure that they have the necessary tools to reduce their risk, from healthcare navigation that includes HIV STD testing, PrEP and PEP, to HIV medication, or referrals for drug treatment services, housing, mental health, and needle exchange services. We try to offer a safe space for young Latino, gay, and bisexual men ages 18 to 29 to learn about sexual health and relationships. We are able to provide virtual group sessions that educate on HIV and STDs, as well as other activities aimed to promote unity among this demographic. Our one-on-one sessions are designed for individuals seeking support in the areas of substance use and abuse and HIV prevention, and as I mentioned earlier, linkage to care for both newly diagnosed and out-of-care HIV positive Latino young men who sleep with men. So if you or anyone you know could benefit from any of our programs, please reach out to me at 329-9908. Once again, it's 323-329-9908, or by email at rcediles@apla.org. Once again, that's R as in Robert, S as in Sam, E as in Edward, D as in David, ILES at apla.org. Thank you. Take care.
And we are back. One, we want to thank Roger for that amazing commercial. Roger's our program manager of our substance abuse programs. So if you need any help in regards to substance abuse, mental health services, or anything of that nature, definitely give Roger a call. Roger is the go-to when it comes to anything substance abuse. We really appreciate your commercial, Roger. Thank you. So we are going to get into our main topic, okay? And I want to have a very honest and candid conversation because everybody needs healthcare. So we've all had our own experiences, okay? So we know that. So today is about the challenges of accessing healthcare and what works in our opinion and what doesn't work in our opinion. We've got a couple of, I guess, accounts from some of my clients, not necessarily about our clinic, but about other places that they've been at. And we're just going to hash it out and get into it. One, I want to start this off by saying anybody that's looking to link into care, HIV care, definitely give us a call. Anybody that wants to do our swab and chill service, definitely give us a call. Now, let's acknowledge it's hard asking for help, especially as people of color. Okay, so I know, and I love the title. Happy endings don't have to be extra. All the extra paperwork that you have to go through to get health insurance and then to be seen by a physician, it's a lot. So we know as people of color, you know, there's a lot of medical distrust. So mistrust. Let's start off there. There's been historically a lot of accounts where people of color have gotten the short end of the stick as it pertains to healthcare. And Kai, can you elaborate on that just a little bit more? Kai's our history guru.
Yeah, so when we talk about just historic mistrust, the biggest thing we have to talk about is the Tuskegee experiment. So if you didn't know, there was a government experiment where they were testing syphilis on Black Americans but they were not telling them. And this didn't happen for like a little while. This happened decades. And then after people were experiencing these symptoms of syphilis, all the negative things that were going on, when it came out, there was just this huge like, what is happening? Because this was human experiments by, a scientific entity on the Black community. So right then and there, none. Then when we want to talk about two things like, the mortality rates of Black women when it comes to pregnancy. Black women have a higher mortality rate than their white or even Latinx counterparts, because oftentimes doctors don't believe Black women or Black people when they come to with symptoms, things like that. We can also look into things like oftentimes because of racial stereotypes, when Black people come into medical places asking for assistance because of pain, they often think that they are drug-seeking people. So it's often seen too, and even in like hospitals and doctor programs, people say Black people have higher tolerances of pain, so they're often treated as not the same care. So that's a lot of what you experience with medical distress. I mean, we can all think of a time when we felt like an older white doctor was kind of talking to us sideways or wasn't believing us.
I just want
Absolutely. And I think
to
that, oh
add,
yeah, go ahead,
if I
Dave.
can, because you do bring up the
Mhm.
Tuskegee syphilis experiment, and I want to be there. I want people to really understand that the experiment was not that people were being injected with syphilis. Syphilis was rampant in the community, and the test and the research that was done was about restricting the care
Mhm.
of those who had syphilis. So what they were
Mhm.
doing was they were giving Black communities placebos,
Mhm.
and doing the experiment on that because they wanted to see how far could syphilis degenerate the body. And so I know when we talk about, like, especially with vaccines in this COVID era, people bring the Tuskegee
Yeah.
experiment up a lot. And I
Mhm.
need for people to understand the history of it. They were not injecting syphilis into people. They were
Mhm.
restricting care, which is just as dangerous, and
Yeah.
definitely causes a lot of historical mistrust.
Mhm.
Because again, if I'm going to a doctor thinking and hoping that you're making me better, and you're not, you know, then we have a history of, like, this is not something that I want to deal with, because I don't necessarily know if you're going to have my health and my best interests at heart.
Absolutely. And the process of even getting into care or finding a physician has become a really, really tough experience for people of color. Mainly, I can only speak from the account of men of color that I deal with on a daily basis. The medical mistrust is rampant. So let's start with my first question from my one of my clients actually sent me a few questions that I think that we all can answer because we've all been in those predicaments before. Question number one. Have you ever been to a space, medical facility, where the front desk staff or the nurses or the doctors made you feel unwelcome to even be there in the first place? I'll go first. Coming from a cancer background, when I was a child, when you are going to a child oncologist, everything is colorful. Everything is, we're going to find you. We're going to reach out to you and make this very comfortable for you because you are a young adult. After getting off of my mother's insurance and becoming a full-on adult, I noticed that healthcare is very cold and very scary in the beginning, with picking your plans, with accessing care, finding the place that you feel the most comfortable. We all hear the waiting room issues where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm in a fishbowl and everybody just knows what I'm here for, blase, blase, blase. We go through that at our job, right? Have I ever had any issues with staff at a medical place? Not really, because I don't really talk to them. You check me in, and then after that, I sit down. But I can understand where people would have a experience with medical staff, people at front desk, people wherever, that would kind of turn them off from even getting care. I've heard accounts of people actually going places and then walking out because they didn't feel comfortable asking about an STD test or asking about HIV care. And I feel like they're well within their right to do that. I think it's more so on our end. We need to remember that everybody's different, but they all deserve the same smile. Kai, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a loaded question, right? So I mean, I've definitely
Yeah.
been spoken at one time where I was getting an STI test and the doctor was straight up kind of shaming me. He was slut shaming me for coming in for a
Right.
test and my sexual health. One of the things for me that what I do in those instances, and one thing I have to keep in my mind is that ultimately I don't know this person, right? I came for a purpose. If I need something done, my health, no matter what, takes precedent. But also remember that the person working behind the front desk has a lot of other people, and this is not me by any means excusing people for treating you
Yeah,
badly.
no.
You should be treated with respect, and if you aren't, you have every single right to call it out. But remember, when you go into places, I know a lot of times, especially when we go into hospitals. So my partner is an ER nurse. People go into the ER and think that they are because for them in their life, they are the biggest thing that's happening right now.
The priority, yeah.
That's not always the case. So keep that in mind. But also, you should know that I should be respected. When I speak to someone politely, they should speak politely back to me. But don't go into a hospital and just instantly, I need to be helped. You need to help me now. I've been here for 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people do it. People like to, the
They
moment
do. Absolutely. They do.
we understand you're at a hospital, you're not there because you're having a good day. Like, you're not there.
Yeah.
That's not why you're there.
And
But
to that
Not the
point,
hangout
also, let's
spot.
also right. And to that point, Kyle, also people that are impatient do that as well, where it's like I'm here for what's in my mind an emergency, where there are several other people ahead of you, and there's no possible way for us to push you to the front of the line as it pertains to healthcare, because then we would be doing the same things that marginalized communities complain about in general. If we prioritize a specific person over another person at a clinic or an ER or whatever the case may be, it's counterproductive. You need to come in, sit down, and wait your turn.
But with that though, you still should know when you come in, you know, you can check in like, hey, I've been waiting, I just want to follow up. And if
Yeah.
fine. And it's also one of those things too, don't forget, if you feel uncomfortable with your nurse, if you feel uncomfortable with your doctor, ask for someone different. Just
Yeah.
do it. I know a lot of times, especially for communities who aren't comfortable with that, they don't know that they can do that. So that's the one
Yeah.
thing. For whatever reason, feel that you've been treated a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that you don't feel that you can
It's
get
valid. Yeah,
that
it's valid.
you came to get,
Yeah,
ask someone else instantly.
absolutely.
You know, and stereotypes are always bad, but you know, a white woman, if she doesn't feel like she's been treated right, she's going to ask for that manager. She's going to ask for someone
May I
else.
speak to your manager, please? That's
So
what
I
they do. They grab their neck and they go, "May I speak to?"
as well. So keep that in mind.
Daniel, what about you? Have you ever been in a scenario accessing healthcare where it was just impossible to even sit there or deal with staff that just made you feel like you weren't supposed to be there?
Um, so I have definitely walked into a hospital, and the staffing of the hospital has made me feel a certain type of way. And I
Mhm.
think that there's an expectancy when you walk into a hospital, that you should know where everything is because there's signs everywhere. Or for someone who doesn't spend a lot of time in a hospital, if they're just
Mhm.
coming in periodically through the year, it's a very, especially depending on which one you go to, it can be a very large
Yeah.
space. It can be very overwhelming. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to speak to. And sometimes those front desk employees can be very rude, and very
Mhm.
cold. And so I've experienced that. On the medical end of like the actual doctors, I can't say that I've experienced rudeness from a doctor, but I have experienced ignorance, from a doctor, and that made me
Mhm.
so very uncomfortable. Two particular times that I can recall. One was,
Mhm.
I had a hard life, and so give me 1 second, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. We
We're
have
live. We
Daniel
are.
Puppy is our special guest today. So
Sorry.
no, you're
So
good.
yes, stuff is happening on the side of the camera. You're live. So there was a moment in time where I was, incarcerated, giving you my life story. And anytime that you get incarcerated, you have to go and you have to check, go through their health procedure. And
Mhm.
so, the nurse asked me if I was on any pre-existing, medication, and I said, "Well, I'm on prep." And she literally looked at me and was like, "What's that?" And I was looking at her like, "You
Yeah.
work in a prison system with
Mhm.
all kinds of mans, and as a medical
Mhm.
professional, you don't know what this is." Like, and I'm literally sitting here being booked and telling you what prep is. Like, it was just the oddest thing to me. The
Sitting
second
there in
experience
cuffs,
that
like this is what prep is. It's pre-exposure
look, I'm trying to be
prophylactic.
real about the situation. And the second experience that I had, I was, going for a routine, sexual health checkup, and there was an older Caucasian woman who was my doctor, And she's, trying to make polite conversation. And she asked me, like, what do you have going on? Like, what do you do? And I said, oh, well, at the moment I work, for a nonprofit organization and I'm in school. And she looked at me and she was like, yes, because you have to get that education. And I looked at her dead face in her eyes and I said, well, first of all,
Yeah.
education is not a word. And I would
Yeah.
prefer that you stick to the terminology regarding this checkup. And this can be the end of our polite conversation. And she kind of like
Absolutely.
rasped her pearls. And I was like, don't do that. I think part of the issue
Mm-mm.
that we have to understand, we deal with it in public health, but also medical professionals who work in hospitals who are doctors and have all these letters and things behind their names.
Mm-hmm.
You are dealing with people, and I often see and experience that from a medical side. They're often
Mm-hmm.
trained in a way where you have to be very sterile.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the doctors that I have felt the most comfortable with are the ones that still understand that they are dealing with a human being. They're not dealing with a robot.
Yeah.
Yes, you may have to be sterile in the way you present certain information because you don't want, a client to just freak out. You don't want a patient to just, go off the rails, but you're dealing with a human. And the doctor that I have now that I just
That's out. It's out. Go ahead.
right.
Sorry.
Yes, Novan. We love you, Novan, by the way. We miss you.
Yes, you do.
The doctor that I have now, I had my first over the call
Mm-hmm.
appointment with him. His name is Dr. Turner. And Dr. Turner was amazing over the phone. Like, just he talked to me like I had known him for years and was very
Mm-hmm.
conversational, was very warm. And I was like, this is what I need. Like, this is what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
and it's
And he's also a
important.
black
It's
doctor
important.
because I can't, I'm
Yeah, it's
very,
always and it's always important to have at least acknowledge when your physician is being everything that you imagine that they'd be, because I'm sure at times they don't hear that. You know what I mean? I wanted to go into our next question really, really quickly. For the staff, the panel, that's well, the hosts that are on the show. What would you say to a young man who feels fully healthy but doesn't want to access care because that's when the bad news comes? I don't see a regular doctor. I do go in when I'm feeling sick, but that's a dime, that's not a dime a dozen. You said that wrong, but that's not often. What would you say for someone who has no symptoms of anything, doesn't have any family history that they know about, but just refuses to see the doctor just based off of the fact that it's either a waste of time or they're just going to get the same news again that they're okay? What would you say? I would say that you're not a physician. So it's easy to sit down and assume that, hey, everything is okay. I'm breathing heavy. My eyes are white. Everything's fine, right? But that's not the case. There are a lot of things, a lot of times that we know working in the health field, a lot of times when people come in, finally, it's too late. And I don't mean to scare people by saying that, but when you don't get regularly checked up, like you don't come in for a regular checkup with your physician, things, I don't want to say stew, but they stew. They become bigger issues. And then you get to the doctor, and everything that you assumed was going to happen at the physician happens. And then you're like, well, I proved myself right. No, you aided in that being right because you did not see your physician. Kai, what would you say to a young man who does not want to see the doctor that feels ultimately healthy, but he's not a physician? How would he know that he's ultimately healthy?
I think one of the things that whenever someone says this, I always like to point to HIV for this one. You can have HIV for over a decade before you
Yeah,
see any serious issues. So yeah,
yeah,
feel good, but that doesn't mean something's not leaking. And I mean, even think about like house repairs. If you have a leak underneath your house, you're
drip,
not gonna
drip, drip.
it's a small little drip. But after a while, next thing you know, your foundation's sinking. You got a hole in your house. It's a big old hole in your neighborhood. You're spending
Mm-hmm.
thousands of dollars to do the repair. Now, we're not saying you need to go to the doctor every month, but a once a year checkup really, and I know it seems like a hassle, but your health is your livelihood, really. If you can't invest
Yeah,
in your health, it's hard to invest in anything else. You should be willing to invest like in yourself more than anything else, right? If you don't invest,
mm-hmm.
like if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love someone else? Oh, we need
come
to talk
Can I
about
on.
say amen?
we forgot to talk about this on Fridays. Oh no. But it's one of those things. Invest in yourself. It is, we like to look good, we like to smell good. Why don't you also want to make sure that everything that's happening on things you can't see because I don't know what's happening on the inside of me. I don't know what my liver's doing. I don't know what my kidneys are doing. I don't know what any of that's doing. I can't see it. So why don't you
Yeah.
go something once a year? That's all it is.
Yeah. What about you, Daniel? What would you say to someone that doesn't want to see the physician because they think they have all the answers?
So depend on that who that person is. Excuse me. I would give them a little bit of tough love, and
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, and I've had friends, families, and clients that I've said, look, you can feel fine now and be dead tomorrow, or you can
Mm-hmm.
go get checked and live, another 50 years. And
Mm-hmm.
we are not in a time anymore where we can 100% trust what we feel in the moment, or what we
Mm-hmm.
feel right now. Asymptomatic issues are real.
Mm-hmm.
We are living and have lived this past year with a virus that has asymptomatic symptoms. You could have it
Mm-hmm.
be affecting people and you feel absolutely fine. And then all of a sudden you drop flat on the ground because you can't breathe. So I
Mm-hmm.
would tell a person that, if regardless if they feel fine, treat yourself like a temple, treat yourself like a car, get your tune-ups, go and get yourself checked out. Like Kai said, really get those inner workings looked at, because again, if you're not a physician, you don't have x-ray vision, and there's nothing wrong with a second opinion.
Yeah, yeah. And for time's sake, I just want to go into the next question, the final question for this segment. Actually, my screen just locked, and we're live.
Yes,
Unlocked.
things are
All right.
happening today. Okay,
It
the
happened.
dog is barking, like stuff is
Fun.
going on.
I ran out of
This
water.
this question actually starts off with a compliment. Thank you all to APLA Health, especially in the prevention department, for allowing us to vent to you and then also helping us access care. What would you tell someone who is super duper private that does not want to go through the benefits enrollment segment of accessing care and accessing Medi-Cal? Because there's too many questions and too many people can hear you when you're having a conversation about your personal business. Okay, that's a very, I'm not going to say that's a weird question. That's a weird question. Everybody wants to be Beyonce self-titled. They just want to show up with no kind of information. You can't do that. In order for us to tailor care, you have to go through benefits enrollment. Benefits enrollment can be a process. It is, but we have benefits enrollment specialists who are very dedicated in making sure that you get the maximum benefits that you can. People complain about the process of benefits enrollment until something is charged to them. With going through benefits enrollment, we avoid that from happening. You won't get a bill. So you need to make sure that you come with all of your information. And I'll even go further. Make sure you bring your ID. If you have a conversation with someone, if you have one, if you have a conversation with someone from benefits enrollment and they give you a list of things to bring, don't think that you're going to skate free without bringing that one document that we necessarily need to make sure that you have health insurance. Like Daniel mentioned earlier, health insurance is, well, health care in general is very important. It's very important. And we try at APLA Health, thank you for the compliment. We try at APLA Health to make sure that you have all of those things at your fingertips. That everything that you could qualify for is assisted with at the clinic. And then as far as prevention and education, you come next door to us. So we appreciate the compliment, but definitely do not be self-titled by Beyonce. Give us some information first before you just drop in. Great album though. What about you, Kai? What would you say?
This is what I think with something like that. I get the idea because a lot of times they're questions and you just have no idea why they're asking. I just came here because I have a little runny nose, and now you're asking about my sexual history. Like what? That has nothing to do with it. If you
Yeah.
ask them, like I'd be more than happy to provide that for you. I just want to know why are we asking, and that's where I think a lot of people don't realize is you can ask, but don't be combative with it. If you come in there for an STI test and they ask you for your sexual history, give them your sexual history. It's pertinent
Okay.
information. And it's same with insurance things. Remember, the person who is doing your benefits, they're not doing that because they want to know who you are. This isn't a date. They're asking you questions that they are required to ask you because that is what's being asked for them so that you can get these benefits, so that you can get these services. I know sometimes it feels, because medical care, especially when we talk about our own health, because then what happens is you start looking in on yourself and you're like, ooh, maybe I'm not as healthy as I think I am, or ooh, maybe I don't have all my stuff together, or why am I worried about handing out this information?
Yeah.
That's things that
Yeah,
you
true.
really reflect on yourself. But when you go into a medical doctor, and I know we just talked about like the Tuskegee experiment and a lot of medical mistrust, there is that kind of I'm doing this so I can help myself. Remember, if for whatever reason, if they can't explain to you why, then maybe ask for a second opinion. Like if you go to because you got a drippy nose and they ask you, so how often do you cut your toenails? Why do you need to know that? Oh, well,
Right.
well, I'm not going to talk about that. So remember that. But also, if you don't provide them with the information and they say, well, we can't help you, that is also something you have to keep in mind too. It's a little bit of a give and take, and that's just kind of what it is. To help you for your health, we have to know your health history.
Yeah. What about you, Daniel? What would you say?
So, exercise, trying some new food, and bottoming, they are all difficult the very first time that you do it. And
Yeah.
filling out paperwork for your medical health is no different. It is difficult, it is cumbersome, it is laborious, but it's
Put it on a
necessary
shirt. Put it on a Zoom.
if
Put it
this
on
is
a
going to
shirt.
be if this is something that you are taking very seriously. And what people need to understand about benefit enrollment and just any type of paperwork or questions that doctors may ask you, it makes every process after that easier, because now we have a record. Now we know we have a foundation to start from, and that's really what doctors are looking for, regardless of the questions they ask, the paperwork that they ask you to bring in. They're trying to create a foundation for you as a client. Now that's not to say that everyone does it the right way. We've talked about the bedside manner or chairside manner of a lot of medical professionals, but at the end of the day, they're trying to create a foundation for you. And if you fight them tooth and nail about creating that foundation, getting the care that is necessary for you to get is going to be very difficult for you. So my biggest advice is, if you know someone that has gone through the process, call them, have them help you. If you do not, then call someone at the facility and see if they can kind of let you know beforehand what to expect, so that you're not showing up just green and you don't know what's coming your way.
And that's a really great point. It's totally okay to do that. It's okay to ask for help. Like even with your example, going into the hospital, it's confusing with all the signs. I know for me, and my father works in the medical field, so I've been in and out of hospitals just visiting my daddy at work. If I don't know where I'm in, please believe I would go to a front desk like, hey, I'm looking for this. Like, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah. I hate when I go into Kaiser and I'm looking for something. I go to the front desk and I say, where do the bad bitches go? Floor number 4. One, I want to thank
out
you.
The front door is where they go.
Right. They go to the nearest strip club. I want to thank you both for answering my clients' questions. Oh, there were way more questions. And maybe we can do a part 2 to this. But if you're watching, hopefully you learned that accessing care is a process, and we are here to help you with that process. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then it's time to square up. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, Ty here from APLA Health, and I got some good news for you.
APLA Health is launching our first ever at-home HIV testing initiative.
As we battle the global pandemic of COVID-19 and all that it entails,
APLA Health is doing what we can to fill the gaps for those who are in need of knowing their status, linking to care, and having safer sex options.
The initiative, officially known as Swab and Chill, will be our virtual hub for those seeking to take an HIV test, receive HIV kits, link it to medical care for those who are HIV positive, while also having access to several other programs and services that specialize in harm reduction for HIV infection.
Such services include pregnant PEP information, as well as substance abuse services. Our goal with Swab and Chill is to make HIV testing easily accessible and easy to use within the comfort of your own home.
We provide each client with the Aura Quick at-home testing kit. This kit is a simple test that is done by orally swabbing the gums and waiting 20 minutes for your results.
APLA staff is available to virtually assist you while taking the test, while providing resources and support for those who may test positive.
maybe you already know your status and you're just low on condoms and lube due to accessibility. No problem. We can also send you one of our safer sex kits right to your front door.
As we strive to keep our community safer and more
informed, your privacy is also high priority.
All packaging will appear from APLA Health. Our over-the-phone assessments are quick, easy, and secure, so you can feel safe in sharing your results with us and asking any questions that you may have.
If you or someone that you know is interested in having one of our at-home testing kits mailed to you, or you just want more information on what Swab and Chill can provide, please call one of our team members at 323-329-9713, or just email us.
Come swab and chill with 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 us.
And we are back. That was our favorite commercial ever in life. First of all, Daniel, thank you for putting that together. Real quickly, before we get into Square Up, do you want to give some information on Swab and Chill?
I just want to say that Swab and Chill has gone through a wonderful transformation. And I'm not just talking about Kai's hair from that commercial now. But we have some really great things in our Swab and Chill boxes currently. We have all new branding, like they come in beautiful black boxes that are very secure, they're very private, and things of that nature. And we also have received our own Swab and Chill masks. So you will get Swab and Chill masks, you will get Swab and Chill hand sanitizer, you will get safer sex kit with your HIV testing kit that includes condoms, dental dams, and lube, all kinds of wonderful things. So please, if you or someone that you know is interested in receiving an HIV kit through Swab and Chill, all you have to do is reach out to us via the phone number or the email that you see scrolling at the bottom of your screen. So I look forward to getting more tests out this year, hundreds of tests to go to the people in the world.
Yeah, look at that.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
Swab and Chill with us.
Yes.
So we are going to get into our final segment of the day. It's going to be a very quick segment. It's time to square up.
Not the fist pump, though. Okay, you know.
Gonna throw one of these at you.
Okay. So Square Up is our segment where we share our unpopular opinions. And the last time we did it, it was a big to-do that I mentioned that I liked Britney Spears is my prerogative over Bobby Brown. So who would like to start first? Because I've been getting a lot of hate mail for that. Who would like to start first with their unpopular opinion? Or I could start first. I'll start first. I need to get off my chest. I do not trust Android users. If you ever text me and it comes through as green, you messed up my whole flow. Every message is blue. If I do not pay my cell phone for the month, I can reach out to everyone with an iPhone that I have Wi-Fi with, not you, because you went ahead and got a Galaxy. Go ahead.
I don't know that I have an unpopular opinion for today.
I have an unpopular
opinion.
For me, it is
so. Go? I need time to think.
Before we go, don't do that to people. Like, I know it's unpopular, but girl,
invest in your phone. Get an Apple product.
It's expensive for no reason. So my unpopular opinion is it's nothing anything seriously. But if you are going to be playing Uno with me, if you're going to be playing spades with me, I don't care if you are my mother, my grandmother, my father, my best friend. You could have my unborn child in your stomach. I will hit you with the draw board. I swear I will call you out on it, and we won't be friends. But that doesn't mean I don't love you anymore. But certain card games need to be taken seriously. So don't hit me with I'm your friend. I don't care. +4 random while the color is green.
Absolutely. How dare you, Mom, tell me why I made you draw 4. You lost the last game, you're gonna lose this one too.
I will make my grandmother cry on Uno. I don't care.
And if you haven't heard, there is now Black Uno, which I actually just purchased. And it is amazing. I love it. It is Uno with a twist and black trivia questions to boot with an extra set of cards that people are not looking for. They're called power cards, black power cards. You can draw 10, draw 8, and you can trade hands. So I am in love with this Black Uno, and it's giving me so much life.
happen. But I mean,
when COVID has died down.
this is a game, and you know what you come to. When you come and play these games, you need to know, especially with spades. If you've ever been to a black barbecue, spades will ruin a family. Like it will ruin a family. You won't have people coming to the barbecue next time because they will talk about that. But you know what? That's part of the game. I don't care.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Honestly, the best thing is to partner with someone to play against people you don't like, or partner with someone you know may be good, but if they mess up, it's another reason for you not to talk to them at the family functions. So because then you can always hold.
That's
fair. Unpopular opinion. Ketchup on eggs is disgusting, and anyone that does it, I can't. I don't know. I don't trust you. I don't think that it's. I don't think it's human.
How dare you? Ugh.
I don't mean to yuck anybody's yum, but it really does gross me out.
I'm yucking too. First of all, if you make scrambled eggs and you do not put some sort of cheese in it, what are we doing?
I mean, some of us are lactose intolerant, though.
Take a pill. What are we doing? Take a pill. What are we even doing?
Get you some mac and cheese.
Why are they scrambled if there's no cheese involved? Why?
Period. That's on period. Point blank.
That's on period.
Edges, I will do my last. To spare.
I'm gonna do one more unpopular opinion. It's gonna be really, really rough. I did not enjoy Megan Thee Stallion's album. I know that it came out around the time.
Oh, that was it.
Oh, production.
I don't like it. Bye. So this is the link.
No.
Look,
all of the songs sounded the same. They sounded the same. He kicked me out.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I didn't necessarily enjoy it because it's just the content and.
These unpopular
no,
it's just not my style.
What happened to freedom of speech, Pyro Media Network? What happened to that?
It's a private business. It doesn't account for that.
I mean, it's just I can't like I could some of the content I'm like, okay, yeah, this is popping, but when it's like song after song of the same type of, I'm just like, okay, we get it.
Yes, I'm
not that much. So
look, I mean, it happens. Before we go and Ty, you say goodbye to us, I do want to remind everyone, next week we have a very, very special guest. And I want everyone, if you're watching now, please watch. Next week, our conversation is Stick It In Me, a conversation on COVID-19 vaccines. So if you have questions about the COVID-19 vaccine, if you have concerns and you just want facts, join us. We are having a special guest. It's going to be Dr. Etzema Agonifer. I want to make sure I say her name right because, I respect this woman. She is here in Los Angeles. She is amazing. Her resume is amazing. So if you are interested in having a conversation about the COVID-19 vaccine by a Black doctor for Black people, or even for people of color, and you just want a little bit more information, join us next week. It's super, super important. This Rona isn't going anywhere, so it might be time for some of us to accept that and look into this COVID vaccine.
So make sure you guys join us next week, same time, same place. We're going to go because I'm going to go fight Kwame.
Sorry, Meg. Not all of us liked it.
I love Kwame. But sorry.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.